The In This League Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome in to Bet This League Week 7. Bogman, we got 2 words for you.
Suck it!
Suck it! Good week to fade us last week. We can suck it. But welcome into Bet This League, the Friday edition of In This League, where Bogman and I are going to talk about our top 10 bets, our bets of the week. We've got our favorite DFS plays, where the money lies as far as all the gambling goes, and of course, how Bogman is going to exploit the NFL. But friends, if you dig us and anything that we do, and you want to upgrade your experience in the sports, fantasy, whatever betting world, come and check us out, inthisleague.com. That is where you can sign up today. You can get my prop sheet. Now, I will tell you, the best bets last week, both of us, not great. You would have been better to fade us. But my prop sheet, I was 9-6. I know anybody that's been listening to all the ITL shows has heard it ad nauseum, but I'm going to celebrate these type of wins because it's probably not going to be every week. What was the number I said? 29 and whatever it was. The last
a lot
12
versus a little. Right.
21 and 9, I think I've been over the last 2 weeks. That sounds right. So my prop sheet has been in play, and I'm still working on it. But as you're listening to this, it should be live over on Patreon. You can get my prop sheet. You can get the IDP ranks. You can get Bogman's weekly ranks. And you can get some of our live streams. That's just the $5 level. Plus, we've got comedy secret shows. We've also got our group me rooms where we've got a betting room. We've got all the start and sits and all the different sports. So just come and check us out. And you're directly supporting us. Bogman and I, independent venture. It's just us. So if you dig the stuff, want to support or get things, inthisleague.com. Sign up for our Patreon today. Bogman, 5 exploitable matchups for Week 7. You go.
I mean, big-time wide receivers have mismatches this week. Devontae Adams versus anyone on Washington, huge mismatch. Kupp and Woods versus Detroit, huge mismatch.
Yep.
And Hopkins, revenge games versus Houston. A.J. Brown versus the terrible corners they have in Kansas City. Cincinnati wide receivers versus Averett in particular on that Baltimore defense.
I'd also throw out
bad.
The Kansas City side to Tennessee. Tennessee
Sure.
gives up the most fantasy points to wide receivers.
The only reason I haven't put Tyreek Hill on there is because he's been beat up. So, I mean, but yeah, you can absolutely add that one as well. So there are tons and tons of wide receiver mismatches this week. So you're probably just going to have to pay up for one because you got to play one of these mismatches, I would think. Jalen Hurts running versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have the lowest blitz percentage in the league, in this league, the Welsh, this year. So they're going to have everyone covered downfield. I think Jalen Hurts is going to see a bunch of guys covered and take off and run the ball. So I think he could have a big week running the ball. The Panthers causing turnovers against the New York Giants. They have the 4th best pressure rate in the NFL. Minnesota, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh are 1 through 3, and they're playing the Giants, who are down their starting left tackle and Andrew Thomas, and the offensive line is not good. So Danny Dimes dropping back. I think he's going to get smashed a couple times this week. We know what happens when Danny Dimes gets hit. He fumbles the ball a lot. So I think that's going to happen. Rams defensive line versus Detroit's offensive line. The Detroit O-line ranks below average on PFF grade and are especially bad on the right side. So every single starter is below average, but the right side, which is going to be covering Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, Evan Brown, 19 out of 35 on centers, Vaitai, 59 out of 76 on guards, Matt Nelson, 68 out of 79 tackles. They are not good. So it is going to be a bloodbath trying to protect Jared Goff back there against Aaron Donald. And the last one I've got is Derrick Henry versus Kansas City. The second best run mismatch this week is Tennessee versus KC. And the Tennessee strategy, in my opinion, should be keep Mahomes on the sideline, make them panic a little bit because you have the ball the whole game, and run Derrick Henry through this tissue paper defense. And I think they get it done.
Interesting. I got some notes for you on here. Going back to the Philly side, what do you think Jalen Hurts' rushing prop should look like this week? You said lowest blitz percentage. You think he's going to run?
They always go a little low because these guys don't run out of.
And here, let me
45
give you,
yards.
Okay. Oh, very interesting that you say that, Bogman. Very interesting that you say that. I'm going to give you his last couple. He's rushed for 44, 30, 47, 35, 82, and 62. So you're
maybe
45.
it should be higher than that. Maybe it should be 50 or 55.
Okay, but he's only eclipsed 45 yards 3 times this year, and he has been under 50 all 4 of the last games. You said 45, buddy. 44.5 is the DK prop right now. Something to consider. It's minus 120, so I don't know, but it's enticing, especially with the blitz percentage, and if there is any stoppage.
If he shakes one tackle with all those guys playing downfield, he could rip off. He could get that total in 2 or 3 runs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a good point. So that might be something to consider. Okay, so it's very interesting with the Rams D line. I just want to throw out. I didn't put it on my best bets. I'm not sure it's going to hit my my prop sheet, but it's possible. And this is a stat that kind of jumped in as I was working through this. Very tempted to take the Deandre Swift under rushing yard prop. I was staring at it before we were doing the show. It's kind of a rough week with all the buys. Bogman and I were talking about this before the show. You've got 6 massive teams that are off the slate. You got the Thursday night game that's off the slate. You also got the books that are really tightening. As everybody, I'm not trying to be a know-it-all or who-it-all type of person. Everybody is more advanced and knows more than us, but or me at least. But I see a lot of people talking about how they're getting taken to the cleaners with props and just all the lines. The actual lines are rougher. The props are not coming out as tight. So it's really difficult picking through. So I was working hard before this, but currently, well, let me ask you, DeAndre Swift. You talk about that line. What do you think DeAndre Swift's rushing prop should look like? And I'm going to give you his last couple. And I think he's also been banged up a little bit.
Give me his last couple games first.
Okay. How about I'll give you his last. I'll give you all of them real quick.
Okay.
So here are from 6 down to 1. 24 rushing, 51, 16, 47, 37, 39. And check this out. Is this going to be correct? This is correct. He has had more receiving yards every single week than rushing yards. Every single week of the season. He has been targeted only 5 times or less once the entire year. So I come back to it to say that I was really poking around looking at the under prop. What do you think that prop should look like based on what you just heard?
This is difficult because my bigger point to that would be Jared Goff throwing the ball away and not having a good game, because we've seen the Rams get run on. The Cardinals ran all over them, but knowing those yards and that he's way more of a receiver. I mean, we knew that going in. I didn't know that he had more receiving yards than rushing yards
every single week of the season.
I would say it's probably the same, almost the same as Jalen Hurts, somewhere around 45, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You're really good at this. 44.5. It is 44.5. That is exactly right. You freaking nailed it. And I know you're not looking at it. It's the same number. And Boggs, I'm really tempted. I swear, I was staring at that one. I was like, nah, I'm not going to put that on as I work on my prop sheet. I'm not going to put that on.
Well, their strategy should be to run the ball. That's why I wouldn't touch that one.
But they also are going to do that with Jamal Williams, though. Jamal Williams is a guy that they like to do more of the ground and pound on.
He's banged up, too, though. They're both a little questionable. So.
Yeah, there's a little bit questionable. If they're behind, they're going to throw the ball a bit more, which you are going to expect they're going to be behind the whole game. You might lean on Jamal Williams for some of that early run. And listen, dude, only 5 targets is his lowest amount the entire season he's had in the passing game. He has caught at least 4. I mean, he is a bigger
And at what
threat
point
on
do
the
they
receiving
completely
side.
Abandon the run and just pass because they're down by so many
Might
points?
be early. Might be
Could
early.
be
So
very
that's why
early.
it's a low number, but it's enticing this week because, like I said, if you take a look at that number, he has 4 of the 6 weeks. He has not eclipsed 44.5 rushing yards or 45 or 44, whatever you want to say. 4 weeks of the 6, he has not hit that marker. So that might hit my prop sheet, something maybe for you guys to think about in all of your business here. Very good exploitable matchups. A lot of little dinks and dunks that you guys could potentially take care of. And you may see some in some of our top bets. Every week, Boggs and I take a look at where the money is. We go and look. Little paid subscription.
Money.
Try to dance around, not giving you the exact numbers because this is a paid
They're
service.
all going
This
to
is
change
not
by
ours.
the time this airs anyway.
That's a good point. But last week we had 5 that had our cutoff is 85% of the money on a side, a spread and over and under, whatever it is. So you see the dominance. Last week, the dominance went 3-2, which it went 3-2 the previous week as well. So that's interesting. If you play all 5 right now, you're at least getting paid off. The 2 that did not hit were the Green Bay Chicago over, which had in the 80s. Now here's an interesting note though, Boggs. As we record this on late Thursday night, Green Bay Chicago and Kansas City and Washington, those were both overs. They did not hit. They were right at the 80% marker. I think it's 80% is what you've been doing. I thought it was 85, but maybe it's 80%.
No, it was for last week because there were so few. But
okay.
Most weeks I'm going to go to 85.
And this week it's 85. Those were under the 85 percentile. The 3 that hit were over 85 percentile. Las Vegas, Denver over, Tennessee plus 5.5, and Miami at Jacksonville under 47.5. Those all hit, and those all had 85% or more of the money on that action. Just an interesting note, the Las Vegas Denver one, I think we kind of talked about this, the over at 44.5 had 99% when we did this. And we said we love that one, and that one absolutely hit. So, fade the public, you play that game. 3-2 for the last 2 weeks of 85 or 80% or more. This week we've got 6 that meet that criteria. And Bogman, first up, I think a couple of these might show up on our sheet as well. I know one is, I think on both of ours. You've got I'm going to do the 80 percentile ones. Okay. So I'm not going to give you the exact number, but between 85 and 90% of the money is on 2. Two. You've got the lowest of which is the Rams minus 15.5 versus Detroit has near the 85 percentile of cash being bet on it right now, which is quite interesting, especially this early on. I don't know if it's people's fear that the line is going to get bigger. I would imagine closer to it's actually going to probably maybe even dip half a point or something if people are taking all that money on Detroit, but what do I know? And then the other is Chicago at Tampa Bay under. So those are the 2 80 percentile ones. What do you think about both of those? I'm not really sure particularly how I feel about either one, though I think I am a Tampa under, which I don't believe you are. I'm a Tampa Chicago under guy from our bets for the radio. But that Rams 15.5, I know you liked it. I just don't.
Yeah. And I do like, we can kind of see how you're betting, and your, just the growth in your betting. You're becoming the guy that just won't lay the points when it's close to double digits.
I mean, I'm laying points in college. I just laid
college. Every line is double digits.
Okay, but I'm saying I'm not terrified of it. I laid
I know you're not
23 on
terrified
UAB or UTSA or stuff like that. But
but it's smart, dude. That is that's a very veteran better move is to.
I've also
I'm just not going to screw with the really for college it's 20 points and for the NFL it's 10.
It's
points,
10.
So.
Detroit specifically, I've seen 2 instances where it looked like it was heavy onside. The 49ers where they came back on the back end, and we also saw it happen with Minnesota where they had the game. That I guess it's just in the back of my head. The Rams can play unbeatable ball, but they also could play some really bonehead stupid ball. We've seen that happen. It's a tall task for Detroit to stop those wide receivers. It's a great running matchup. I mean, it's counterintuitive because I really like some of the plays. Daryl Henderson is a play we're going to talk about. I really like him this week. Yet I just don't feel comfortable laying all those points on 15.5, even though Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL. I sure think they are. So it's more like, if you forced me to make a bet, I probably am taking the Rams 15.5, but I'm not going to mess with that game. I'm not interested in that. I'm much more interested in that Tampa Bay Chicago under, but you, I think, are on the opposite side of it.
Oh yeah, I'm all over the Rams here. Look, the Lions came out the first couple weeks and they played hard, and that's what you can ask from Dan Campbell. But this is one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and they're beat up.
Why are they so shitty? When did they become the Lions are? Have we experienced a time where the Lions weren't this shitty? For an extended period of time? Have they
not for an extended period of time, no.
Remember when they had Herman Moore and Barry Sanders and we're like, man, the Lions are kind of a problem. And then it was just
their big quarterback was Scotty Mitchell and Charlie Batch. Those were their big.
Wasn't it Charles Rodgers?
Michigan
State.
Rodgers, right.
Yeah.
I mean, he had all kinds of issues, but
remember
they drafted Mike Williams. Calvin was the one that worked out. So
did Biaka Batuka go to the Bears or the Lions?
Panthers.
None of them. Yeah, you're right. The Panthers.
Yeah,
who am I thinking of?
Didn't
Rashawn Salam go to the Bears and then sign with the Lions? I don't know. I'm trying to put
Best,
all
I
the
think.
busts over there. Javid Best. I liked Yavid.
Yavid,
Bogman.
yeah.
All right. Sorry, keep
Yavid
going.
Best, right.
Was there anything
No,
else on these two? You like
well,
Tampa
look,
Bay, your Rams to route?
Rams throughout, and I picked the under on the Chicago Tampa Bay
Oh, you
game
did? Okay.
because
So
I picked the Bears. So I thought if the Bears are going to stay in this game, it's because their defense is keeping them in it. So I picked the under. I didn't, I don't really care about the public liking it that much, but look, the Lions have shown they came out when there wasn't a bunch of film on them and they played close, but now that there's 6 games worth of film on them and they're a little bit beat up, they're just going to get their asses kicked, dude. This is a shit kicking completely by the Rams. This is Matt Stafford wanting to throw for 500 yards and all that stuff, man. I just don't see how the Lions stay in it.
I mentioned this in ITL. I put this game in a teaser on Detroit's side where I got like 20 something. But I think this was I think I got the Lions at like 21 or
as long as this isn't 35-3, then you'll be okay.
Yeah, so. And I may not win. It's just it's so many points. Or you know what? No, you know what? I'm sorry. I actually went the inverse on this. I played the teaser on the opposite side. That's exactly what I did. I played the teaser on the Texans side, so I got like 23.5, and I played the Rams down because I do love the Rams. I played the Rams teaser down to get single-digit points. I think it was 9.5 or something like that, which I thought was a better play. So that's how I would touch these if I possibly was. Now, there are 4 games, or 4, actually, ironically, they're all overs. There's 4 overs, which might show you where people are trying to do anything.
Life's
this week.
too short to bet the unders, people say.
Yeah, dude. So. But also the lines are rough. I just don't. There's so much I don't like that people are taking the overs. All 4 of these are overs, and they're over 90% of the money as we record this on Thursday night. You've got, in order of money, or at least percentiles, Washington, Green Bay over at 48.5, Kansas City at Tennessee over at 57.5. Jets, New England over at 42.5, and Houston, Arizona over at 47.5. All money 90 percentile being put on that, at least on the early stages. What do you hate? What do you love of those?
I mean, I've got the under on the Jets and Patriots just because, if the Jets can't score points, the Patriots aren't going to go out of the way to score points. They're going to go out of their way to hold on to the ball. That's what Bill Belichick does. So, of course, you want to get up
where's
by 2
Boglicek?
scores, 3 scores.
What happened to Boglicek?
What we want to do here is just hold on to the ball and grind these motherfuckers right up into the ground and just pound their asses. We just want to beat them right into the ground. These guys are losers. Zach Wilson sucks, and we're going to beat their ass. We're going to stomp them. It's going to be 24-3. And this game's going to hit the under, and all those bettors are fucking idiots.
No, I don't remember the press conference where I've heard Belichick just dropping F-bombs. Does he do that a lot?
You don't remember that one?
No, yeah. I don't really remember.
I remember it. It happens all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you hear that interview where it was like Belichick had a cut and the girl comes on and she's just like, "Oh, hey, Bill, what happened, blah, 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 to your eye?" And he's like, "I'll be all right." It's just like they're like, "What happened? Was it this, or this?" And he's like, "It's fine."
It's getting old, man. I think that might have been like a spill he took, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to say it.
You get over 60, certain spills, you might never leave the hospital.
Yeah, you know what? He needs some of those Japanese airbags that we saw for the elderly. So,
it's these inflatable jackets that when you fall. Bogman wanted it for me. When you fall, the elderly and me, where if you fall, it's like a life jacket. It senses the movement. But what I wonder is what if you get home, you're like, I'm home. Let me just fall in bed. And you fall backwards and the whole thing inflates. And it literally inflates and it has a head mask or something like that. Maybe good old Bill needs that.
On Reels, it was a kid and they were doing the trust fall thing. So his whole family standing behind him and he's on a chair. He's got his arms like this. And instead of falling backwards, he goes to fall forwards. I don't know why he thought he needed to fall forwards, and he falls right on his face. So, but anyway, look, I like the under in that game. I also like the under in the Kansas City Tennessee game because what I talked about with Derrick Henry before, because I just think Derrick Henry is going to run the ball a ton and it's going to play towards the under. So I think the other two, what were the other two? Green Bay, Washington, I have the over, and Houston, Arizona. I have
well, I mean, one, I'll tell you this. We each have one of these on our top bets of the week. So again, the 6 for you guys to chew on that are 85% or more money put on. Jets at New England over 42.5. Kansas City at Tennessee over 57.5. Washington at Green Bay over 48.5. Rams minus 15.5 versus Detroit. Houston at Arizona over 47.5. And Chicago at Tampa Bay under 47. And all this is going to take is just like a little bit of line movement for heavy, heavy money to adjust. And it probably will. You'll probably see some of these change. But if you guys are listening on Friday morning, there's a half decent chance these are still live. We'll see where it goes into the weekend. And we will track it and let you know how that all works out next week. On the other side of this, we are going to do our best bets top 10 of the week.
The In This League Podcast Network.
I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You made money fading us last week, unfortunately. And it's so crazy, too, because I don't just unleash my prop sheet on here. I do pick a few of them, and I'm trying to see, let's see, what hit last week. Yeah, actually, ironically, I was 4-6, you were in 4-6. So that's why you would have paid off. 2 of mine were props and 2 of them were game plays. A couple of the props I did miss were brutal ones, by the way. Like the Jonathan Taylor receiving yards, he caught a 13-yard pass in the first quarter and did not get one single throw to him the rest of the game. That one pissed me off just brutally. The others, I don't know. Eckler, I thought the rushing attempts were going to be through the roof. They got their asses handed to them. That one killed me for the week. You had the same thing. You had 2 props that paid, and you had 2 game lines.
The things that pissed me off here. Number 1, DK Metcalf, 64.5 yards. James Pierre was on him. James Pierre is not a great corner. So Geno just couldn't get him the ball. I also had the over on Geno. He had 206 yards and 224. But the one that really pissed me off was Robbie Anderson dropping fucking 14 balls last week. And all I needed was a long reception of 18.5 yards. And he caught a touchdown at the end. It didn't do shit for me. So the guy was wide open. He dropped 3 balls.
Yeah,
so
right in the Peters. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Dude.
No, that whole team was frustrating for sure. I also, ironically, one of the ones I hit, actually, the 2 I hit were in Carolina, the 2 props. It was the pass attempts on Sam Darnold, which has been money and is not live, by the way, right now. Or at least last time I looked on DK. I'm actually going to take a look. And it was a DJ Moore longest reception, 25.5. Those were the 2 that were in play last week, and I hit. And it's funny coming from that stupid game because it was such a disaster. Let me look here real quick, and then we're going to give you our bets. Let me see if that pass attempt one is out. Nope, they don't want to play it. They've only got yards on Darnold, and they've got passing touchdowns. They refuse to put that one up because, like I said, he has hit 34, I think, every single week or more, and it was 34.5 last week. All right, so our top 10 bets of the week. We must do better. You can play or you can fade, however you want. You want to see my full prop sheet, you can come on over to theinThisLeague.com, which is our Patreon, and check them out. But there are some sprinkled in here. So, Bogman, from top to bottom, week 7, top 10 plays, you go first.
Carolina -3 against the Giants. We talked about it at the top of the show. One of my favorite mismatches is that Carolina defensive line against the Giants O-line. Plus, they're banged up. No Saquon, no Kenny Golladay. I think this is a Panthers route, even on the road. So I'm taking the Panthers and laying the 3.
That was one that I almost wanted to jump into. I was very, very tempted to jump into, and I like that you played that one. This one is a top tier one for me, and I lost the one stat I wanted to give you to it, so I suppose you're just going to have to trust me on it. But this is one of my, because I have 3 tiers on my props, tier 1, 2, and 3. Ones, I usually bet all of them. I'll sprinkle in some 2s and 3s. I'm a degenerate, but I don't play all 15 necessarily of mine, though I would be doing great the last 2 weeks if I did. This is in that top tier. Alvin Kamara receiving yards. This is coming off of the bye, by the way. 29.5. 29.5. Now, to be fair, he has only hit that twice this year. Well, actually once. He hit 29, he hit 25, and then last week, or week 5 against Washington, he hit 51. They've got Seattle this week. And if I'm remembering the stat correctly, Seattle gives up around 50 to 60 yards receiving to running backs, if I was looking at that correctly. But guess what? I don't care.
If they give up 50 to 60 to running backs, Alvin Kamara should have 128. I mean,
he should. He should.
You know.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
But I think there was one game where they just didn't throw the ball to Kamara the whole game. That's the issue with him, and that's why that number is lower than expected, which is what makes it tempting.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's actually what I was looking for.
I've got a Kamara one too.
For running backs, the Seahawks have given up over 40 receiving yards in 5 of the 6 weeks this NFL season. 5 of them. Kamara is the only running back that is going to get the receiving yards. They've given up 108, 81, 59, 41, and 46. The only week was against the Rams, who have Henderson and Sony Michel, where they only gave up 2. They have eclipsed 40 yards to running backs 5 of the 6 games this season. Alvin Kamara, 29.5 yards off of a bye. Yep. And yep.
For me, my second one, I'll take the New England Patriots by 7 points against the Jets. You know what? I'll just give you 2 because I have another one in this game. I talked about it. How, look, the Patriots don't care how many points they score. They just want to dominate the ball and give you no chance. So I'm going to go with the over on Damian Harris yards too. 64.5. I usually don't like to play many yard props over 50 yards, but I just think the dude is going to be a battering ram and get at least 20 attempts. So even if just a little bit over 3 yards per pop, if he gets 20, is going to get you there. So I got to take the over on Damian Harris rushing yards too.
All right, so I got to jump in. I'm actually you just gave 2. I'm going to give 3 because we have 2 holdovers here. I also am going to take the Damian Harris rushing yards 64.5. So take that. We both like that. I'm also taking New England -7 against the Jets. So I wasn't even looking at yours. Those are 2 that we both really like. You could tell how hard we're going down with the ship on that one. But I added and a little bit of context as well. The Jets have given up at least, and now obviously you have multiple running backs and stuff like that, but they have given up at least 85 rushing yards to running backs every single game this season, and they've given up 94 of the 5 times this season, and they've given up the last 2 weeks over 100, which has been on average about 31.5 rush attempts. So we know that Damian Harris gets the predominant amount of rushing attempts unless he fumbles the ball, which is key. But I think this is his game. Ramondre is going to play some of that James White role as he's been, and I just don't think he needs a big play to get in there. So that's why I like New England route. One of my favorite plays. I like Damian Harris, and my triple down here when you went in too, I'm also going to take, it's not even posted yet, the Damian Harris anytime touchdown. Give me that one. That's a lock. It'll probably, unfortunately, be like -110. I doubt you get a plus on it, but you want a money bet? Damian Harris anytime touchdown. So those are 3 and 1 I just knocked down to you.
All right. I'll give you 2 here. Detroit at the Rams. I'm taking the under 50.5. I just think that it's going to be a lot of running in the second half because I think the Rams are going to get up real quick on this Lions team. And I don't expect the Lions to score many points. I talked about the mismatches on that team. Also, I mean, we talked about this a little bit on Sports Grid, but who is Jalen Ramsey going to cover? Do you just stick him on TJ Hawkinson the whole game so he can't catch a pass? Like, I mean, are you going to waste him on Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? So it's just weird for them. I think that's a stomping. And the over Daryl Henderson rush attempts at 16.5. I think he moves way past that. So I think that's an easy one. It's one of my favorite ones this week.
I will tell you, I have a Daryl Henderson prop on my prop sheet as well. I also like that one. All right, I am going to go to, as I guess I typically do here, I'm going to go to Carolina because I continuously jump on them. And this will be a Sam Darnold bet, but I can't do the pass attempts because it's not out there. But I will do the passing yard prop, which is actually dropped. When I originally saw it the other day, it was at 240. It's dropped down to 235. Part of that is going to be that he has stalled out the last 2 weeks. He's I think averaged 190 if you compare the two. Against Philly, he put up only 177. He put up 207 last week, but he was 17 of 41, and we know there was a gajillion drops. There's no chance that repeat is going in. You know that is the one thing that they worked on against a poorish Giants defense. They're 22nd in yards given up. Now, from a pass side, they did give up only 234 last week, but they're averaging 264 We love DJ Moore. We love Robbie Anderson. I love all the guys this week. We like Carolina to win. And just a little topper is Sam Darnold. Before that, the last 2 weeks, the first 4, he's gone at least 279 or more, and 3 of the 4 he threw for 300 yards. Lots of pass attempts. You're not going to have the same drop issue. So I love the passing yard prop. 235.5 is the over that I see right now.
For me, my next one is going to be Houston at Arizona, over 47.5. This one is one that was well over 90% on, when we were talking about the percentages before. It's 17.5. I'm willing to lay the points to take the Cardinals, but I'd rather just take the over here, because if Houston does get in this, they're going to have to score. I don't know if they're going to score much more than 2 touchdowns, but I think Arizona could do the majority of this by themselves anyway. So I'll take the over 47.5.
I'm actually going to move up. I was trying to do, I guess I just did a lot of player props. I was trying to move like games and stuff like that. But this one I'm going to move to tie into Arizona. This is, again, just one of my favorite. Is there all the logic in the world to play this one? I think there's Simi, but are there stats to put behind it? Maybe not with DeAndre Hopkins, who's had a poorish year. He's gone under 60 yards receiving 3 times this season. But it is revenge week. Now, you tell me that Hopkins and Murray aren't chatting about this game in the revenge week. His receiving prop is 69.5 yards.
Nice.
Now, he has only hit that twice this season. Once against San Francisco and the first week against Tennessee. So obviously that can stay back in the middle of your mind. Houston is they're kind of like middle of the pack. They're 18th, I think, in yards given up from the pass, only 214 last week. But this is going to be a stomping. This is a revenge game, and not giving you all the stuff, but PFF on their wide receiver corner matchups. They've got their different ratings, and they've got a certain amount of excellent ratings. And let me just tell you this: I think there's a handful of guys that are in that. Hopkins is one of them in the excellent cornerback wide receiver matchup this week. So 69.5 on a revenge game for DeAndre Hopkins. Yup.
Nice. Look, I'll take a wide receiver prop. How about longest reception for Davante Adams at 26.5 yards? And I know that's a long one, but Fuller is getting torched this year. Giving up
That's not the longest too, by the way. I think I saw Cooper Kupp is 28.5 right now.
See, and I talked about all these mismatches for big time wideouts, and this is one of them. So 26.5. I think Davante Adams has got that in the bank. So let's go, Davante, get it.
Davante and Cooper, and by the way, I think Cooper's hit it every single game this season, or maybe he just didn't hit it and he had hit it 5 straight weeks. And Davante Adams, those are 2 guys you want to play that bank on. Do it. This is a pretty easy one. I like Atlanta. I think Miami's a mess right now. Atlanta's 2.5. They're coming off of a bye. I don't like their defense, but I do like their offense that has weapons back. Russell Gage is back in. Patterson's a beast. You've got Ridley back in action. Pitts has seen more action. And the Dolphins, like I said, they're a mess. You've got the Tua stuff. He might sit. I just think Miami's a disaster. I love Atlanta off the bye, -2.5. That's one of the few lines that I actually really like right now.
I'm going to give you 2 here, and they're 2 Monday night ones. Jameis Winston over 210.5 passing yards against Seattle. Seattle's secondary is bad, and I know Winston hasn't been throwing a lot, but he can put up a lot of points, especially if you get in short yardage and all that stuff. I mean, they're just going to have the ball a bunch, I think, because I don't like Geno very much. And Alvin Kamara, I'm going to roll with you, Welsh. Longest reception, 13.5. I think he's got that beat. So.
Ooh, yeah. I thought I was, you know what? I was staring at that one. I was actually going and look, he hasn't really done it this year, but again, this is a lot about what Seattle gives up as a defense to running backs. And you're also thinking this is a team coming off of a bye. There's a lot of things in standard of where Kamara is going to play. So I think those are good plays. So I'll finish this off because those are all your 10. Going back to that Cardinal
I got
game.
one more.
Oh, you do have one more? Okay. Well, I'll still finish off and you can be the last one. I'll finish off mine. Say in that Cardinal one, James Conner anytime touchdown. It's not posted. I don't know what the line is, but I'm taking it. And I bet you that one is a plus at least. Probably not a lot. It's probably like plus 100, plus 110 or something like that. A little bit better than Damian Harris. Love James Conner anytime touchdown. We already talked about Green Bay, Washington football over 48.5. Yes, sir. I think that was like the number one where the cash is. I love that one. Green Bay is going to torch up Washington, and Washington's probably going to put up a few points as well. So give me that line. And then my final one, this is a pick on your Rams game. I don't love the juice, but Goff interceptions 0.5 over is -130. So that's easy money. That's Jared Goff interceptions is easy money. And that's
I mean, if he does, we thought Danny Dimes was, but Goff throws some picks. So.
I mean, you telling me he's not going to throw a pick?
I mean, with his old coach who knows all of his tendencies, he's 100% throwing a pick.
Let's take a look
easy
here.
Money.
I mean, I looked at that and I was just
I feel like I
all
looked
right.
earlier and it wasn't on there for picks.
He's given up
Goff on there and he wasn't.
Now, he did go 2 straight weeks without an interception, but he has an interception in 4 of the 6 games this season, and he has had an interception in back-to-back weeks without touchdowns, by the way. He's had 3 games without a touchdown this year, and the last 2
That's the main reason I'm willing to lay the points for the Rams. Is right.
That's a good. It's a great point.
You know,
yeah, it's a great
because he's
point.
been bad. So I'm up for my last one.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. My last one is Deebo Samuel over 66.5 receiving yards against this beat up Colts secondary. I do like the Colts in the game, but I do think it's going to be back and forth. Rock Ya-Sin down and Julian Blackmon just down for the year with the Achilles injury in practice. So
did that move up? What'd you say it was? 66
and a half.
Ooh, that is on my prop sheet, and it moved. I got it at 63.5. I got it yesterday. That was one of the first ones that posted.
That's probably they added the 3 when Blackmon went down. So.
I jumped on Debo. That was one of my very first ones, which here's what I would tell you. I don't post the sheet till Friday, but if you have the link, you could be checking and you would have seen I posted that because I do go as I go at night. I will post, some of the ones, and Debo was up there. I had I think 5 on Tuesday night or whenever they started posting Wednesday night, and that was one of them. So that's moved 6 yards. I still like that. I still like it up to probably like under 70, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, look, Debo, I think it's going to go absolutely off against the Colts. So yeah, let's go.
There you go. Top 10 bets. Let's see how we do. Play, fade, let us know, and especially let us know if you're playing any of those bad boys. We got them up there. If you missed any of it, you can go back and listen. Give us another little download or a little play if you want to recheck those. Final up here, it is our DFS Plays of the week.
The In This League Podcast Network.
All right, friendos, DFS Plays. It was sucky. We had our DFS contest not go by one person last week. And it's my fault because I do man them. I was doing Arizona Fall League interviews with players. I was so out and about that Sunday morning came. I was so trashed on Saturday night. Like, I just forgot. And then the games were on. I went, oh, crap, because I had a lineup I loved. I loved my lineup, and it did not go. We will make sure it's 100% going. And if it's what you're into, we've plugged. Listen, Bogman and I haven't won it yet. We've got some crazy-minded people. We had one of our guys, Rory, who jumped in, and he thanked us because he's like, I hadn't been doing it, but I wanted to jump in the contest. He also threw his lineup in one of the millionaire ones, and he scored he won a couple $1,000s. That's what I know. I don't remember the place that but he won a couple G's when he was playing it. You could come in, and even if you don't put it in those, if you sign up, join us with Patreon, hang out, you can play in our contest. You might pay for your membership with one win if you beat that ass. You could beat that ass. Last week, some of the big plays, Bogman, you had some solid plays. One of your buys was Khalil Herbert at 4,600. Check. Jamar Chase at 6,700. Yes, sir. And both your tight ends were cash money. 5,200 for Andrews and Ricky Seals-Jones at 3,000. As Bogman does Draftkings, by the way. So you were definitely pretty solid. You had a couple. I don't remember. I mean, obviously Chubb was did go
right.
Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones. I don't think we really identified those. For me, over on FanDuel, I had Joe Burrow, which was a solid one. I also had Mac Jones. My running backs were killer. I had Jonathan Taylor at 7,500 and Daryl Williams at 5,200. So both of those played. My wide receivers, my top end sucked, but I threw a side note of Jamar Chase that I loved him. And then I also hit both my tight ends with Hunter Henry and Ricky Seals-Jones. So pretty good, solid week of plays last week. So why don't you hit us with what you got on DraftKings?
All right. So for my quarterbacks, going with the expensive one, I'm going to just roll Stafford because I think He wants to put up a bunch of points, and I think he's going to. So he's 7,100. He's not the most expensive quarterback here, but he is an expensive one. So I would roll with him. My cheap guy, I'm going to go with Justin Fields. I think he's going to run a decent amount against Tampa Bay, and I think he's going to be able to pass, and you're going to have to pass deep against this defense, and I think he's going to be able to do it. I picked the Bears. I think they're going to be able to stay in this game for at least 3 quarters before Tampa Bay wins it, and we just saw Philly backdoor Tampa Bay last week with the worthless 2-point conversion at the end of the game just to piss off bettors, I guess, but it worked. So we've seen that happen too.
I stared at him. I just couldn't do it. But I will tell you this, a discrepancy in price. Jalen Hurts on FanDuel is 8,300.
Right.
And I got to scroll down. Justin Fields is 6,500. So they're almost 2,000 apart. And I mean, I like Jalen Hurts more specifically this week. But I mean, if you want to play that risk, I get where you're going.
Look, for my running backs, I'm just going to go expensive. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry at 9,200. He's the most expensive running back on the board. Don't care. I will play him. I will find cheap options in other places to get him in my lineup. My cheap guy is the guy who online I picked to score a touchdown this week, James Conner against the Texans.
There you go.
So $5,600. He's right around the poverty line there, cheap for an RB. So I love me some James Conner.
Yeah, I like that.
Wideouts, I'm going to give you 3. My expensive one, Devontae. I think he's going to lead the league in receiving yards this week. He's going to dust Fuller a couple times. I got him on that longest reception prop too. He's my favorite wideout of the week. The other 2, T. Higgins, I think is going to be on Averett because I believe Marlon Humphrey is going to be shadowing Chase. We'll see.
I will say, I want to say, I just wanted to throw this to you. I think PFF thinks that's going to be Boyd because of the receivers, Boyd was given the best grade of any of the Bengals wide receivers. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I think there's only one tough matchup there, and it's Humphrey getting Chase. So anybody else, Boyd or Higgins, I'm gonna go with Higgins because I just think he's on the field more, and we just haven't seen much from Boyd yet. And look, Russell Gage hasn't done much, but he's super cheap at $4,000. You heard the Welsh talk about what a mess Miami is. The secondary, you've heard me talk about it on the individual defensive podcast. If you listen to that, it is a mess. They are rotating these cornerbacks because they can't figure out who is good because none of them are.
None of them. They're all shitty.
Right. Yeah. So I think Russell Gage has got a real chance to go off here.
You know that game they play like on the streets where the guy's like, all right, I'm going to put the ball in the cup. No, not that one. And then you move the cup around. They're like, all right, find the ball. Like the Dolphins cornerback's like, all right, we put the good corner in here and find it. And you don't realize the trick is they never put anything under the cup. It's always just garbage. You'll never win.
Right, exactly. So, it's gonna be tough for Miami to cover anybody. I think Calvin Ridley could have a good game too, but I like this 4,000 price on Russell Gage. It's funny you mentioned my tight ends. I didn't realize I picked the exact same ones this week.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Look, Mark Andrews at 6,000. Sure, he's expensive, but I love him. He's really, really good. Got a good matchup against Cincinnati, and Ricky Seals-Jones did move up in price too, $700, but he's still cheap, 3,700. So he's a cheap option. So he's probably going to be the guy that I roll with. I know he's a little questionable, but he's going to get out there and play.
Yeah,
so.
I think he'll be fine. And he's a big pickup player.
I've got one other one for you, just a cheap defense. The Panthers D. I told you how much I love them. I'm going to take them -3 against the Giants. They're $3,500. I think that's a great price.
I like that one. Quarterback-wise, over on FanDuel, if I'm playing a FanDuel lineup, one of the top matchups that I love, and if you want to look at some of the optimizers, interestingly enough, no, he's near the top. I think he is, in a specific one I'm looking at, top 3 as far as value goes, is Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who Washington is giving up at least 2 touchdowns over the last 9 games on the season. And this is a matchup where he is going to torch. I think I talked about this on the football pod. I think he can be the number 1 QB this week. And I think the ball is going to be slinging. I think this could be a 2-touchdown Aaron Jones receiving game again. Devontae Adams might have 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, I got to go see what the quarterback touchdown. I wonder if it's live. What do you think? It's got to be 2.5, but I wonder if they're even giving you anything on it. Let's take a look here. Aaron Rodgers, touchdowns. Dude, no, see, they're trying to screw you. it's 1.5, but minus 230. So they want you to play those god awful odds, I suppose. But I mean, at this point, just give me 2.5, and you can still minus it, and I guess I would take it. But they just don't want to play the odds.
Still minus it.
Yeah. I love Aaron Rodgers there. I also really like, as far as value goes, I like Matt Ryan from everything that we've talked about. I think he's one of the better value-ish plays where, got like Stafford is 8,100, Lamar is 8,400. I told you Jalen Hurts is 8,300. You can get Matt Ryan coming off a bye at 7,300. And I think there's multiple. They're not going to have any rushing touchdowns. It's going to be passing touchdowns. I like a Patterson touchdown in this game. I really like 3 touchdowns. I like 3 passing touchdowns. So I think he's a great value. On the running side, we've talked about these guys. You had Daryl Henderson. I think it was rush attempts. I like Daryl Henderson overall this week. And I think he is going to eat. And he is 8,000 on the top line. And I believe on this old specific aggregator here, he's got a top 5 value matchup this week against essentially the best defense he could go up against as far as a running back rusher goes. Detroit's giving up over, essentially on this season and through the last 9 games, they're giving up a full rushing touchdown every single game. And if they do that, it's going to Daryl Henderson, so he's a great play. Also, on the little bit cheaper side, I don't even need to talk about it, but Damian Harris. We took all the Damian Harris props this week. Yeah. He's 6,800. So I like that as a stack, Daryl Henderson and Damian Harris. On the receiving side, Tennessee, told you, gives up all the fantasy points, and I know Tyreek Hill has been a little bangy here or there, but I'm going to like Tyreek Hill. It's, I believe, as far as the grade goes, it is near the top. It's in that excellent territory as far as PFF cornerback wide receiver matchups go. Tennessee gives up all the points. Big plays, 8,500 on FanDuel, Tyreek Hill. I gave this really funny one we were talking about on the football podcast about Brandon Cooks, where Brandon Cooks he's one of the highest share guys. He has like 57 targets and the next guy's had 12. Right. And they're going to pass the ball. So Brandon Cooks, especially because they're going to be behind at 6,500 is great. And then a little teaser of real cheap, Mecole Hardman, 5,400. If you wanted to maybe like fade away from the Tyreek Hill, you want to go on to that side of Devontae Adams with Bogman, get Mecole Hardman in there, 5,400. He's had some big games. This is just, I think, a great matchup. And on the tight end side, I'm going with Ricky Seals again as well. I think it's really hard to go too far down. He's 5,400. He's 400 more than he was last week. He's my low-end guy. My top-end guy, this is more of this can't keep going in Darren Waller. I just think I think it's a pretty good matchup. From a value perspective, I think this week, from a cost side, he's like 2,000 less than Travis Kelce. He's only 100 more than Kyle Pitts. Or I'm sorry, 700 more. Kyle Pitts is 6,100, but Darren Waller's 6,800. And he's had all the targets. He always gets the targets. And Philly has been giving up just about a receiving touchdown to tight end over the last 9 games as well. So Darren Waller, break back through to the other side. Those are my FanDuel plays, and I'm not going to do a defense. Just go with Carolina. I think that's the good way to go. And that's it. That's Bet This League this week. Let us know if you played or faded. You can do that. And go to inthisleague.com to come and sign up. You don't even have to care about like the betting stuff, by the way. You don't have to care about the prop sheet or the ranks. You can come and hang out, get the comedy secret shows, which we'll have another one coming soon. You can check out the Group Me rooms. We got a pretty awesome community. And Bogman and I are always doing crazy stuff. Bogman did 2 live streams this week, watching some of the football games. And we've also got a cool thing going on our Twitch, twitch.tv/inthisleague for playing some Madden. Those are all the things that you can do, friends. Good luck this week. It's bye week apocalypse, but maybe you can flip it on the other side and make some money. That's Bogman. I'm Welsh. We're out of here.
Good luck. See ya.
See ya, bitch.